Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Wanted to show you my new purchase here. This is one of these little Chinese loaders, little front end loader, four-wheel drive. It articulates in the middle. It's kind of neat. It's just like a big front end loader, just very, very small. This thing's got a 3-speed transmission. It's geared pretty high, pretty much only used forward and reverse, which is plenty fast enough. Yeah, it's got like a 42-inch bucket on it, I believe. This is all Chinese. I think you can buy these for about $5,000 new. This one I picked up, it had 2.5 hours on it. I put a cutting edge on there, didn't have anything. It's just an 1/8-inch steel bucket, so I took a piece of 1/4 inch, wrapped up the corners, made a little cutting edge for it, tacked it on there a little bit. I don't know if I'll keep it that way or change it. Did some strips on the bottom side to keep it from wearing. Same thing, 1/4 inch, just welded them on. Should make the bucket last a little bit longer. I have tried it. It seems to work pretty good. I bought it to clean out the cow pen over there. So it gets in there pretty good. And yeah, it's not working too bad. It's got LED lights. It's got some blinkers on the back. Let's see here. Yeah, so it's got flashers, blinkers on the back. This has a 23 horsepower V-twin. It's some kind of a Honda clone knockoff motor, but it seems to run pretty good. The lighting's not that great over here. Maybe I'll bring that light around this side. It's got a canopy on it. It's all right. I don't think this is a real rollover protection system. I know the earlier versions had a smaller round tube diameter here, and then up in the front, it was just basically a 1-inch wide, 1/8-inch thick piece of flat stock, so it was pretty flimsy. This is a newer version, and they've kind of refined some of the stuff on it. One of the earlier versions, this panel right here had a bunch of slots cut in it, and one guy said that it was like holding a hairdryer to the back of your legs. So they've since added this panel solid and put in some heat foam insulation in there. Looks like they've got a piece of insulation up here so you don't warm up the seat too much. Like I said, gas motor, V-twin. This is the company that makes it. AGT, load 710 kilograms. I'm not sure if that's what the hydraulics will lift or what the weight of the machine is, but that would be like 1,510 pounds, something like that. 20 pounds, 1,520 pounds, something like that. I'm not sure, but I haven't lifted anything real heavy with it yet. But one thing that I think I'm going to do is, there's knockouts on this bumper right here, and this thing it's welded all the way around, but I think I'm gonna knock these out and probably fill it with a couple bags of Quikrete just to add some ballast to it. I thought about possibly knocking them out, drilling some holes and putting some bolts in from the outside and bolting on some plate steel and then filling it with concrete. I don't know. But once I put the concrete in there, obviously it'll be harder to add the anchors. I do have a couple of suitcase weights too. I thought about maybe making a little tray for the suitcase weights, setting them right on top. Picking up the manure out of the cow pen, you know, it's not enough to pick the rear wheels up. So, yeah, pretty basic, simple design. Electric start, your little clutch down there, brake, gas pedal, and 3-speed transmission. This is first gear is forward, back is reverse, and then high and low, or 2 and 3, gear 2 and 3. But 2 and 3 is very, very fast. I took it down one end of the barn here. I tried it in second and I tried it in third, and it's like in third, it probably does 20 plus miles an hour. It's fast. Way too fast for what, for what we're trying to do here. So I'll probably do some more videos on this. Behind this panel, you'll see the output shaft of the motor. It's got a V pulley setup of four different belts. 2 run down to the transmission, which is right behind here, and your little clutch. And the other 2 run down to a hydraulic pump on the other side with a carrier bearing. And that's it. Your one little hydraulic pump, it runs everything. It runs the whole front end loader. The articulation cylinders, it is a dual cylinder, so you have it in both directions. This one came through with all the grease fittings on it. Most of them, I guess, they don't even come with the fittings, but the pins are tapped M6. So I was fortunate. This one came, it had the grease fittings on it, but there was no grease in it. It was completely dry. Every fitting was dry. Like I said, it only had 2.5 hours on it. And I actually traded a quad for this. I had a 25-year-old four-wheel drive Honda quad, and or 20-year-old quad, and I traded it for this thing. So this is more probably what I need. I also have a side-by-side, so I don't really use the quad all that much. Plus I've got a couple other smaller quads that if I really need to have something, I can get going. But yeah, it's got these cute little differentials in it. They look like little Toyota axles or something. I'm not sure. They're pretty beefy looking. I've watched the few videos that are out there on this machine, and one guy says make sure and change all the fluids, which makes total sense. I drained the 3-speed transmission here, which is behind this cover right here, and what came out of it was like, I don't know, it was almost chunky in some spots and then watery. I don't know. But anyway, I put a good heavy gear oil in there, and I replaced the hydraulic fluid, and I still need to do the engine oil. The guy said he changed the engine oil, but one of the things, I don't know if he changed it or not, but this valve cover right here has your oil fill in it. That's actually from the other side of the motor, from the other cylinder. And I moved it to this side because I can actually get a funnel in here. On the other side, there's a steel panel that goes down right here, and you'd actually have to pump your oil up into the motor. So I didn't really want to do that. One bolt, pop off the valve cover, swap it to this side, and we shouldn't have any issues filling it there. But I do want to change the oil. It still has the original filter with all the Chinese writing on it. So I don't know if the guy just changed the oil or didn't change the oil. I'm not sure, but it's going to get a new filter, new oil, and then I'll have the 2 differentials that I want to drain and refill. I've used it just a little bit yesterday for cleaning out my cow stall here, and it seems to work pretty good. There is one downfall to this unit. I don't think there's any relief valve or pressure relief valve in this system. And I say that because if there is, I haven't seen an adjustment yet, but with the steering, if you go full lock, it'll actually stall the motor. If you go full lock with the bucket or the loader arms up and down, it will stall. So I need to figure out what's going on there. I think on this control valve right here, it's got a flow control. I don't know if it's a bypass relief or not, but I'm gonna start figuring out how I can get this thing to not stall if I accidentally hit full lock on the steering or whatever. That's one downfall to it right now. I had to put some grip tape on here. The clutch pedal gets real slick. So yeah, it's still got water on it from washing all the manure off it yesterday. But so far the bucket seems to be holding up. I am gonna do a piece of box tubing on the back side of the bucket here. I'll weld one across here, and then I will mount a small piece of angle that will be an indicator so I know the bucket is flat against the floor or the ground. I like to have that visual so you know where the angle of your bucket is, and even in a machine this small, it is still kind of hard to see. If you articulate the machine and pull the bucket over this way and poke your head out the side, you can see where the bucket is, but I still want that indicator on top. So I'll weld that piece of box. I'll probably go with a piece of 1/4 inch wall, 2x2, pretty heavy box tubing, weld that across. Then I can put a couple of chain hooks on there, and if I want to lift something or pull something, I'll have a good spot to pull from. Eventually, I want to add a quick connect front end here on the loader front, either dingo mount or mini skid steer mount. I'm going to come up with something. The plates are pretty cheap, but I haven't found the latches for the mini yet, so I'll probably buy the plate, and if I can't find the latches, I'll make them. But I would like to make an adapter for this so I can get a small set of forks for it. I think it would be really handy in the barn here. I've heard the lift capacity on this is about 800 pounds. There is another video out there where the guy picks up a bucket off of a backhoe, and it weighed a little over 800 pounds. And with him sitting on it, he was able to lift it. And as soon as he tried to get off the machine, the back wheels started to come up a little bit. So that was, I believe, with no counterballast in the back. So hopefully if I do the concrete and a couple of suitcase weights, I'll have enough lift capacity here to move some small pallets of stuff around. This will maneuver around the barn a lot easier than my big tractor, the McCormick. That thing will lift all kinds of stuff. You just can't maneuver too well with it. So, yep, this is where you fill it up with fuel, gas. I think it holds about 3 gallons. Not a ton, but you're also not really running this thing at much over an idle because of the ground speed is fast. You're just not on the gas very much. So it has 23.5 by 8.5, I believe. 23 by 8.5 with a 12-inch rim, R4 tires. This thing does not have a lot of articulation in the frame right there. If you look, you can see down in there, there's not much movement. Now, initially when I looked in there, I saw that brace that's kind of on a 45 there, and it almost looked like it was a piece of steel put in there for shipping. And I was thinking that maybe they shipped them like that. They didn't want a lot of articulation in it. But after I got down there and looked at it a little better, that piece is a cross member. So the only way that I could do anything with the articulation is I'd have to cut some of that box out to allow this thing to flex a little bit. But to be fair, I'm using it mostly on flat surface in the barn, which that's not an issue at all. But when you do go outside, it is a little bit more of a choppy ride because you don't have articulation, and these are open differentials. So if you're in a situation where you're outside and you're trying to dig into a pile and you kind of lift one of those wheels, you're going to lose traction and just spin yourself in. So a regular full-size loader will have the front axle matched with the bucket and the loader arms, so they all kind of stay and pivot together, but the rear half of the machine will have an articulating axle where it'll allow you to keep all 4 wheels on the ground for better traction. So maybe I'll take that a little further and see if I can get a little bit more articulation on there, but I really don't plan on using this too much outside of the barn. I've been eyeballing these things. I wanted to get one. There's quite a few videos out there of people kind of using them. I think there's a homesteading channel. This guy's using them, and they're a quirky little machine. But using it for the time that I did cleaning out that box stall, you can get used to it. Now these things, I'll say straight out of the box, because the guy that I got it from, he really didn't do anything to it. He bought it. He put some grip tape on there because the floor was slick. He used it just a little bit around his yard, realized that it was just not what he wanted. It wasn't good or great outside, probably because of that articulation thing. And it had a lot of quirks in the beginning. This clutch was so stiff that it was just grabby and stiff and hard to push. And that clutch moves these fingers, or that pedal moves these fingers down here. And you can see that arm right there with the linkage attached to it. that's a cam in there, and actually when it pulls that arm up and it twists the cam right in here, and you'll see that it depresses the clutch and allows the fingers to work and open the clutch. I initially, it was stiff. I put some grease on it. I ran it a little bit, and it actually seemed to make it a little bit worse. So I sprayed it with WD-40, and it just took right off. It's so much better. You can push the pedal a lot easier. If you pull the back panel here, the floor panel, this side cover, everything comes off relatively easy, and it's pretty open. You can get to everything. You can get to your linkages, get to the top of the transmission where your fill is. There's a drain underneath. You can get to your U-joints in there, grease those. It's not too bad. The hardest part, I thought, accessibility-wise, was when I wanted to swap this valve cover, the air box is so tight. I said, oh, I want to get in there and take the air box off. So I took this cover off the muffler here, which gives you a little bit more clearance. You can see the muffler's doesn't sit real high up in there. And then this slotted panel comes off, and you can get into this side of the motor pretty good because your muffler's down low enough. But while I was in there, I took my fine tool and I trimmed the bottom of the air box. You can see right where I cut it off. Now, cutting that off, I did not get into any internal portion of the box. It's like molded webbing down there, and I just cut it out so I could clear the valve cover and get the oil cap off. On the other side, I didn't have to cut anything. I just put the plain valve cover back on that side. And the only other thing is your idle screw. I don't even think I can see it right now. It's in on the right-hand side of the valve cover, back about 4 inches, and the screw is mounted vertically right up against the bottom of the air box. So it's very hard to adjust the idle. With the muffler cover off, this big shroud right here, I was able to reach in there with a pair of needle nose and turn the idle up just a little bit. But you actually can't even get to the screw head to put a screwdriver in there. Like I said, this is a Chinese machine. It's got a lot of quirks. If you're not mechanically inclined, don't waste your time, because it's gonna require tinkering right off the bat. Grease fittings, lube in the clutch, changing the fluids, getting your linkages set. I'll do some more videos, but next time I'll have the panels off so you guys can see in here. I actually had to rework the other end of this clutch pedal. It's a twisted piece of iron, and the angle that this rod right here goes through that clutch pedal did not match at all, and it made the clutch kind of hang up and grab and stick. So I had to get in there and rework the Stihl, twist it a little bit to get things lined up better. But I'll do some more videos on it. Probably going to end up cutting this canopy off. I think I'm going to cut them here. I'll weld in a slug and then put the canopy back on, drill a cross hole with a quick pin. That way I can take the canopy off if I want. But I do need it to clear the underside of, to go underneath the eave on the side of my barn. I'm going to be redoing a chicken coop over there, and I want to make it so I can get inside it with this thing and clean out the chicken coop, because that gets pretty bad, and it's no fun to go in there and shovel that. You don't want to smell it as much as you have to, so you want to get in and get out of there quick. But so far, seems to be a decent little machine. Like I said, quirky, but you kind of get used to it. I'll figure out the pressure relief for these hydraulics so it doesn't stall out on me when I hit full lock. But if you're paying attention and maneuvering around with it, it's not too bad. You have to understand the limitations of one of these things, and the fact that it is a cheaply made machine. But in my mind right now, it is more functional than the four-wheeler I had. It doesn't matter how much I tinkered with the four-wheeler, I wasn't going to be able to have a front-end loader like that. So so far it's serving a purpose, and we'll tinker around with it, play with it some more. I know it's not a chainsaw, but just an update, the 056 parts that I've been working on getting, they should be here soon. I had to order a inner flywheel, and it's coming from Canada. It cost me more than I wanted to pay for it. But anyway, I've got the right flywheel coming. So hopefully we'll get that back together, have some spark, and be able to finish that saw up. And I know a lot of you guys have been looking for that video. Apologize for that one, but yeah, been just tinkering around with this thing for now. And yeah, it's a cute little machine, but we'll see if we can have some fun with it. And I'll be doing some more videos on it and let you guys see what it looks like underneath all these panels and stuff. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully one take on this whole video. I don't even think I'm going to edit it much. All right, thanks.